Today on the show, I'm finally going to start talking about anime by talking about my top 5 favourite anime of all time. There will also be some honourable mentions in this mix, so let's get started. So before I get into my top 5 and my honourable mentions, I figured I'd give you my anime history, if that makes sense, how I got into anime and why I'm still into it to this day. So when I was quite young, I didn't really have many friends. I was never going around friends' houses for dinner and stuff, so I was pretty much consistently on my family's computer from a very young age. And then my family were the first people on our street to get broadband internet. After getting broadband, I was very quick to discover web forums, usually joining them about games that I played, generally the Final Fantasy and Legend of Zelda series, but from here I discovered anime. So back then, streaming anime wasn't really a very common thing, and if someone managed to do it, it was like, wow, how did you do this? This is so cool and high tech. You used to have to download a fan-subbed episode before you could watch it, which sounds insane, especially because internet was so slow back then. Just watching one episode of a new anime was a huge deal. Obviously these days, with more and more DVDs of anime getting released and websites like Crunchyroll popping up all over the place, it's so easy to support anime these days, which is such a good thing. A couple of things that I've done in the anime scene include fan art, fan dubs, and an abridged series that definitely deserves its mention in this. Me and my best friend ran it. We started it in 2009, I think. It was a Kuroshitsuji abridged series, which we called Kuroshitsuji. And I'm just gonna play a clip here, and you can understand what it was from this clip.
It's okay, Xiao. Me and your mother are fine.
You're lying! You burned alive!
No, at that time, we became one. Yes, we became one. We became one. Became one. Did I mention we became one?
That series was actually taken down from YouTube. My original Rhythm Beat Music YouTube account was banned. It was a whole thing, and we stopped the series after that because we were kind of sad. I do just want to note that as a child I did do the whole Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, Monster Rancher thing, but I don't really count those as watching anime for the sake of anime because I didn't know they were anime, I just thought they were regular cartoons, so I don't count those in my anime story. Now on to honourable mentions. I actually own a lot of the manga for the honourable mentions. So the first one is The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. It's a very fun series. I prefer the light novels though, although they can be a little bit hard to read at times. The anime, very, very good, but like I said, I prefer the light novels to the manga and the anime. Ouran High School Host Club is a very fun anime. I blame that for being one of the reasons why I'm part of a Butler Cafe now. You can find a link to the Butler Cafe down below because it's finally relevant to what I'm talking about. And I enjoyed this anime. It was a lot of fun. I think it was what it was. It wasn't special, but it definitely was a lot of fun and I remember it very well. Rosen Maiden. That series is beautiful. Anyone who defutes that is an idiot or just not visually stimulated. Oh my god, Rosen Maiden is a gorgeous series. You could just look at it and be entertained. Its story, pretty good. It gets pretty intense at times. The series doesn't have much rewatchability though, which is why it's not in the top 5. Gakuen Alice is another really good series. My first ever long-term online friend actually showed me this series, and she's still my friend. We've been talking for 8 years now, which is insane. But I remember we would get up MSN Messenger together and be typing to each other as we watched episodes, and it was such a good series, for growing up, and you were you could relate to it, even though like these were kids with powers. You could relate to it so much, and I loved it, and I wish they made a season 2, or at least it went as far as the manga goes, but they didn't. The final honourable mention is actually a tie between two. Kuroshitsuji, because, well, you know, abridged series, I had to like it to be able to do that. As I've grown up, I quite heavily dislike the anime now. I think it's just a bunch of twaddle about a demon and a child, and I find it quite boring now. But I remember very vividly liking it. I've made multiple cosplays for the characters, so I quite like this series because of memories, but not for the series itself. And Higurashi no Naku Koro ni, which was quite possibly my first majorly dark anime other than Elfen Lied. So that's a thing. Okay, so now we're on to the actual top 5, and at number 5 we have Sailor Moon. So I got into Sailor Moon as a child, and it was probably the first series that I obsessed over. And then I found out it was an anime and watched every single episode in Japanese with English subtitles. I do like the Japanese version a lot better, but I do think the English version has a lot of good aspects and ideas going on, and it's not totally bad. This series does have a lot of rewatchability because there's obviously so much in it. Even though it's so corny, the characters are relatively deep. So that's a nuance you don't commonly come by, and it's such a great series. Also, you just don't forget Sailor Moon. Like, I've watched so many anime and been like, oh yeah, I watched that a few years ago, and then totally forgot about it again like 2 seconds later. Sailor Moon, you never forget. Also, considering when it was made, it was a very gorgeous series for its time. So for that, because you can't really forget it, it's a lot of fun. Sailor Moon gets number 5. Moving on to number 4, and we have Aria The Animation, The Natural, and The Origination. Aria is the perfect show to watch if you're sad, or you're feeling down, or if you need a little bit of a pick-me-up. And I think this show shaped me in more ways than one. One of the main themes of Aria is to appreciate the little things in life, like the oddities and the nuances that most people would just brush away, but if you can find happiness in those, then you're eternally happy. Now, I watched this show at an age where I was otherwise incredibly unhappy, like I had a whole bunch of personal stuff going on, and this show is possibly one of the reasons that I got out of that, or at least survived through it. Also, the art in this show is just gorgeous. Like, if you're a visually stimulated person, you will be eye-gasming all over your screen. The humor in the show is very, very subtle, and it has a very, very relaxing feel to it. And this show has had me so happy that I'm bawling in tears. I have so many happy memories of watching Aria, particularly Aria The Natural, so that's why it earns its place at number 4. Now we're at number 3, and we have the total contrast to Aria, Nichijou. I'm just gonna say this now, that 2011 was a fantastic year for anime, and Nichijou was probably the pinnacle of funny for that year. Lots of people haven't heard of the show, and it's very much a sketch comedy show. Every time I would watch this show, I would be laughing so hard, a little bit of pee came out, not gonna lie. So for being totally hilarious, for having amazing animation, and for having fantastic memories, and for probably being the most rewatchable anime on this list, this show gets number 3. So now that we're past halfway through, I'm hoping you can get the general idea of the type of shows that I like to watch, and you're not expecting to see Naruto, or Mecha, or Dragon Ball Z on this list, because they're not even in my top 10, honestly. Now we're at the top 2, and at number 2, we have Lucky Star. Oh, Lucky Star, I remember this show coming out and waiting every week to see the next episode. That was an interesting time. When I was going through puberty, I wanted to be Konata, and I think she might be the reason that I turned out this way. The scripting in the show is just fantastic, and the only way to really get someone into this anime is to have them watch an episode, because if you explained what this anime is to them, they'd say that it sounds boring. Also, the show is very bright and colourful, but it's not in your face, and the art style is unique, so when you see a character that's modelled after this show, you go, oh, they are modelled after Lucky Star, which is something that you don't commonly find these days, which is really sad. I am sad that there wasn't a Lucky Star Season 2, but there was an OVA, which was fantastic. But honestly, I don't know what they'd do with a Season 2, so in that sense, I'm quite happy that there wasn't a Season 2. Also, the soundtrack to this anime totally fits the humour in the show, which is a very good thing because a lot of anime these days do have totally inappropriate soundtracks. So yeah, thumbs up on the soundtrack. I love this show. I definitely want to see something more with it, even though I'm not exactly sure what. So that's why it gets number 2. So now we're at number 1, and we just had 3 slice of life anime in a row. So obviously number 1 is going to be another slice of life, isn't it? No. Number 1 is Madoka Magica. So I have a lot of personal, emotional connections with Madoka, which I won't burden you with, but Madoka was actually released in the exact same anime season as Nichijou. But my friend who watched Nichijou with me refused to watch Madoka at first. So when I told her about the show, she was like, oh, I don't know, it's magical girl show, a magical girl show isn't my thing. I was like, no, just watch episodes 1, 2, and 3. It's so worth it. And she did, and instantly called me up and was like, oh my god, I can't say anything because I don't want to spoil it for you, but she was freaking out about what happens. This show is visually stunning, both in its art and animation. The voice acting is fantastic, the soundtrack is great, and the story is so good. Like, you cannot predict a single thing that's going to happen, or if you can predict it, you don't know how and you don't know why. Also, the symbolism in the show, I don't think there is another show that can match this one in symbolism. It is fantastically done and very well placed. All in all, with the show's art, its symbolism, its soundtrack, its voice acting, pretty much everything about this show is perfect, which is why it earns its place at number 1.
It's super effective!
Okay guys, that is it for today. Leave a comment down below telling me your favourite anime, and also don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see me talk about anime even more, and also don't forget to like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter. My name is Faust, this has been Exploring Anime, and it is super effective.